It's Monday, March 2nd. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Will Middle East fighting have an impact on energy here at home? After India, Premier Susan Holt aims for mining and mineral deals in Toronto.
Another cold start tomorrow with a mix of snow and rain expected Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Hope and fear grip members of the Iranian community in the Maritimes tonight as they watch what's playing out in the Middle East. The latest eruption of violence is also creating concerns about petroleum prices and travel and how our region might be impacted. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness reports.
It's been 3 days since the United States and Israel launched attacks on Iran. That war, combined with the subsequent retaliation by the Middle Eastern country, is affecting oil supplies around the globe.
That has led to a real concern about a dwindling ability to supply the world, especially in the Straits of Hormuz, which is a transit way for about 20% of the world's oil.
As a result, pump prices are expected to climb.
Ultimately, I think we're heading towards an increase of about $20 a barrel, which would translate into about a 20-cent liter increase, and for diesel as much as 35-40 cents a liter.
Petroleum analyst Dan McTagg says the interrupter clause could be used as early as tonight for diesel and midweek for gasoline.
If you happen to be driving around, need some diesel, home heating fuel, furnace oil, expect that to go up if you don't buy it by today.
International air travel is also impacted. Air Canada says in part, due to the military situation in the Middle East, all flights to and from Dubai and Tel Aviv are currently suspended and restarting on March 23rd, 2026. If you are in either of these regions, please do not head to the airport.
I don't think Air Canada wants to risk its airplanes going into that part of the world. I think that, whether you're flying into, I think Air Canada's canceled Tel Aviv and they've canceled Dubai.
Affecting some of the 85,000 Canadians and permanent residents currently in the Middle East. Flight routes have also been altered, with planes maneuvering around the war zone.
That airspace is now closed. So now you have to divert your airplanes, use more fuel, take more time to be able to get to your destination.
The federal government is urging Canadians in the Middle East to register with Global Affairs Canada in order to receive updates about travel advisories. And Todd, Dan McTagg says we're getting closer to the annual summer jump in demand for gasoline. He says if that overlaps with the war in Iran, prices at the pumps could jump even higher than expected. Todd.
All right, we'll watch for that. Jonathan McGuinness starting us off live tonight in Halifax. In the CTV web poll, we're asking, are you monitoring the situation in Iran? And your options are yes, I'm watching it closely, I'm checking the headlines, or no, I'm not monitoring it. And you can vote at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Premier Susan Holt is back in Canada, but not back in the province just yet. She went from trying to attract investors in India to enticing companies closer to home in the mining industry to spend in New Brunswick. CTV's Laura Brown has the details.
From a 4-day trade mission in India.
It goes both ways. We're attracting Indian investment into New Brunswick, and we're ensuring that New Brunswick companies are doing more business in India.
To meeting with mining companies in Toronto.
I have a full few days of meetings with potential investors promoting New Brunswick's interest in mining so that we can accelerate the economic impact of projects like Sisson Mine and others across our province.
It's all to try and get more money coming into the province because New Brunswick, not unlike the rest of the country, is struggling with financial pressures that the government can't cut its way out of, says a man who knows what it's like to try and balance a provincial budget.
I don't think the Premier needs advice from me, but I would say very simply, as the Obama people did when he won his first election, it's the economy, stupid.
While announcing a new cyber training program at the University of New Brunswick, former Premier Frank McKenna feels the province needs to zero in on growth.
Focus on the economy. All of us feel anxiety right now in this difficult world that we live in. We need to focus on the economy, grow, grow, grow. That'll give us the revenue to pay the taxes, to pay for the services that we need.
Holt unveiled a new mining strategy this afternoon, identifying 77 sites where a variety of deposits are known, from base metals to tungsten, like the Sisson mine near Fredericton, which was designated by the Prime Minister as a possible nation-building project. While the mine has been mostly sitting idle for about a decade, the company behind the mine has said an updated feasibility study should be completed within the next few months. Holt has said that she is meeting with the CEO of that company while she's in Toronto. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
The stepfather of 2 missing Nova Scotia children has been arraigned on charges of assault, unlawful confinement, and sexual assault. Daniel Martel was arrested in January. There's a publication ban on any information that would identify the alleged victim. Martel is the stepfather of Lily and Jack Sullivan, who were reported missing from their Pictou County home 10 months ago. Police have said the charges are not related to the children's disappearance. Martel will be back in court at the end of the month for election and plea. At this point tonight, after 5 days of deliberation, there is still no verdict from the jury in the Jansen Baker double murder trial. CTV's Derek Haggett is at Moncton Court and has this update.
Around 8 o'clock Saturday night, Justice Cameron Gunn told the courtroom the jury was tired and wished to call it a day. They retired to their hotel rooms, and there have been no updates since. The 12-member jury finished listening to the audio testimony of one of the Crown's key witnesses by midday Saturday. The witness was previously incarcerated with Baker and cannot be named due to a publication ban. The jury previously requested to listen back to testimony from 3 Crown witnesses. The jury has been sequestered since late Thursday afternoon. Baker has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Bernard and Rosemarie Saunier. The couple were shot and killed inside their Dieppe home on September 7, 2019. Baker was arrested and charged with their deaths exactly 4 years later. Several members of the Saunier family were present at the courthouse all weekend long and again today, waiting for word on a decision that is yet to come. They've been assisted by victim services and accompanied by a group of courthouse service dogs. Many of Baker's family have also been waiting, coming and going over the past few days. The jury typically deliberates until around 8 o'clock each day and starts again around 9 o'clock in the morning. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
There's a live look at Edmundston right now, where it remains a chilly -12. Let's bring in CTV meteorologist Kayla Mitchell for a look at the forecast. And as chilly as that is, they had a real tough start to the morning.
Yeah, they were flirting with -30 early this morning around the Edmundston area. The morning low temperature was sitting at around -29. It's a very cold evening, March evening that is, for all 3 Maritime provinces, and we're headed into another bitterly cold night. Temperatures right now around the region are mostly in the range of -7 to -12, but most lows tonight will be falling well down to the -teens, and some of the north and west of New Brunswick down into the -20s. The cold night, though, comes with very clear conditions. There's an area of high pressure in place over the Maritime, so we're not expecting a lot of cloud cover around across the Maritime region as we make our way through this evening towards and after midnight. The clear skies giving us pretty ideal conditions to do some night sky viewing, and we've got a little bit of a lunar eclipse to talk about as well. So first of all, while we're on the topic of the moon, it is a waxing gibbous moon. It's 99% illuminated. That'll be easy to spot in the night sky this evening. The lunar eclipse will be occurring Tuesday morning. More on that in a moment. Planet Jupiter will be high over the southeastern horizon after dark this evening. The aurora is unlikely to be observed tonight. There will be an early pass from the International Space Station Tuesday, 5:40 a.m. from the west to the southeast. And speaking of early Tuesday morning, let's talk a little bit more about the lunar eclipse. So this is going to be a total lunar eclipse for parts of the continent. The issue we have here in the Maritimes to see the whole thing is that the moon is actually in the process of setting as that eclipse is occurring. So the partial eclipse for us begins around 5:50 a.m. tomorrow morning. You'll notice that as sort of a brownish or reddish hue beginning to develop on parts of the moon. Now the total eclipse begins by around 7:04 a.m. The problem is the moon for us is setting around 6:49 a.m. So we're only going to be able to see partial eclipse from this one because as the total eclipse takes place, the moon is going to be below the horizon for us. So a few tips if you're going to try and spot some of this eclipse is that you want as unobstructed a view of the western horizon as you can get, because anything that's obstructing on the horizon, like a tree line or mountain line, now the moon's going to be heading down below that, of course, before it's completely down past the horizon. If you're up a little bit as well, that may offer you a little bit of a longer view again as that moon is going through that setting process. Todd.
And maybe we'll get some viewer pictures.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, we'll see you later for the full forecast. Nova Scotia's opposition wants the province to create a task force examining women's health care services and ways to improve it. According to an IWK health survey, 70% of respondents say the system does not meet their needs. Here's CTV's Jesse Thomas.
NDP leader Claudia Chender is adamant that women aren't getting the health care they deserve and called on the province to strike up a task force looking at improving women's health care across Nova Scotia.
70% of women in the Maritimes believe that their health care needs are not being met by the current system.
That's according to a recent IWK health survey, and Chender says women deserve better. It's why the NDP are concerned about cuts to spending that impact women's health, like the $600,000 cut from the IWK Health Transformation Work Strategy, Chender says impacts women's health, and the $110,000 in cuts to addictions and mental health spending in relation to recommendations from the Mass Casualty Commission.
We have cuts to social work, we have cuts to community organizations, we have, I think all of the cuts impact women and gender diverse people in this province.
The Minister of Health understands there's more work to do around women's health and are investing in bringing in more doctors.
And so perhaps at one point a strategy will come, but right now it's around investing in people, investing in the equipment that we need, and really trying to build kind of an ecosystem on the ground.
Jane Archibald is going through chemotherapy for stage 3 breast cancer and is advocating for earlier ultrasound and MRI screening for patients with dense breasts. Mammograms, she said, didn't pick up her cancer.
I must try to make peace with the fact that my cancer is much more likely to return because it was caught so late.
Archibald believes the call for a healthcare task force makes sense and believes investing in women's health and early preventative care saves money in the long run.
My cancer has been a huge cost to the government, and had it been caught 2 or 3 years ago, it would be much less.
The NDP Women's Healthcare Task Force bill would need the Houston government's support to pass. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Premier Tim Houston was not in Nova Scotia today. He was in Ontario, signing a deal with that province. He was with Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Together, they agreed to allow customers to order alcohol directly from producers without tariffs. It's a first-of-its-kind deal. Both provinces have said they want to remove as many interprovincial trade barriers as possible. The agreement that allows you to order directly from an Ontario producer takes effect immediately.
Affecting African Nova Scotia communities are changed or reduced. It doesn't just land as a budget item. It lands personally. I understand that.
It was a rougher reception for the Premier on Saturday night than it was in Toronto today. Dozens of people in the crowd attending the Black History Gala in Halifax demonstrated their anger and frustration with provincial cuts that target education and African Nova Scotia programs. Now, on the subject of budget cuts and deficits, later we'll speak with Donald Savoie, who writes and lectures on government and the economy. And there's more reporting on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. The countdown is on for traffic chaos with the closure of a major transportation link in northeastern New Brunswick. That's now just a month away. The Centennial Bridge in Miramichi will be closed to all traffic starting April 1st, and it will stay that way until December. And it will all happen again in 2027. More than 13,000 cars cross the bridge every day. The bridge's closure expected to cause more driving and more delays around the area.
It will be monitored daily, and the main thing is public safety and making sure that traffic keeps flowing without too many problems.
Has been set by a special website that will talk about information available to the public. Last week, another bridge closure was announced that will be needed in 2028 to carry out the final phase, which will replace the bridge decking for the center spans. Well, no one will be raising a glass for this. A jump in federal tax hike on alcohol is looming. Local brewers say the 2% increase will threaten their industry as businesses already struggle to stay open. CTV's Vanessa Wright has more.
Nine Locks Brewing Company in Dartmouth is celebrating 10 years in business. A successful brewery that may have to raise their prices when a federal alcohol tax hike takes effect on April 1st. Co-owner Danny O'Hearn says the impact will be felt from the bottom line to the consumer.
Any tax hike in our industry is bad for the consumer. You know, we can't continue to raise our prices, but the government continues to raise their prices on us. So it's just not good for business overall.
The so-called alcohol escalator tax automatically increases each year by 2%, affecting beer, wine, and spirits. According to industry estimates, it's already cost taxpayers about $1.6 billion since it went into effect in 2017.
Some estimates have that this increase will cost about $41 million this year alone. So that's a lot of money that's being taken out from local businesses, and it's going to mean less jobs. It's going to be, it's not only bad for the consumers, but it's going to be bad for the people working in these industries.
The Federation wants Ottawa to scrap it before it goes into effect.
When Canadians, one, can't afford it, and two, industry can't afford it either.
Danny O'Hearn says the tax hike does raise concerns about the health of this industry. He says businesses in Nova Scotia specifically are some of the hardest hit.
Nova Scotia's had several breweries closed in the last number of months, and it is concerning.
Two Crows Brewing in Halifax opened the same year as Nine Locks. Instead of celebrating their 10-year anniversary, they shut down 2 weeks ago. The Taxpayers Federation says it's ironic that the tax hike takes effect at the same time that members of Parliament get an increase in their pay. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Dartmouth.
A major highway in the region has reopened after a tractor-trailer crash closed it yesterday near Falmouth. Just after daybreak, a westbound transport truck went off the road and crashed into a guardrail. The road was closed for several hours while officers and other first responders were on the scene. No other vehicles were involved, and there were no significant injuries reported. Traffic has resumed on the highway.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
It was revealed in last week's Nova Scotia budget that the province is getting a new riding. Today, CTV's Ryan McDonald visited the area and spoke with locals about the change.
It's a part of the Maritimes with postcard views and the kind of place where people show their cultural pride on their license plates.
Well, I think it's about time that we have some representation because, most of the time we were neglected.
Recently, legislation was introduced that will create a new provincial riding for Shetty Camp and surrounding communities, many of them Acadian. These areas have for years been part of the Inverness riding, which will now be split in two to create a new one called Shetty Camp Marguerite's Pleasant Bay.
We'll have to wait and see, but hopefully things will improve. Economically, culturally.
It's been a topic of discussion on the airwaves at the community radio station in Shetty Camp, where the man behind the microphone said people here first requested their own riding more than 30 years ago, and that some other Acadian communities have long had their own seats in the legislature.
In Richmond and Clare and Argyll, other Acadian regions of Nova Scotia, and this area was denied.
The new riding will have less than 3,900 electors, whereas Inverness, which it is splitting from, will still have more than 10,000. Some are optimistic about having more of a voice.
Growing up in Shetty Camp, I feel like when it was part of Inverness County, that maybe sometimes Shetty Camp may or may not have gone neglected in certain points.
Others aren't sure it'll make any difference. Do you think something like that makes any difference at all to the average person?
No, I don't think so.
As for who might represent this largely rural and picturesque area in the Nova Scotia legislature, it's expected that a by-election will be called within 6 months, if not earlier, to fill the new seat. While language will be front and center in the shaping of this new bilingual riding, some are hoping other issues will see a change for the better.
Roads were on the famous Cabot Trail. The roads are pretty well a miss. Tourism is a big part of the economy here.
With the new riding here in the heart of the Cape Breton Highlands, the number of seats in the legislature will now sit at 56. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Shetty Camp, Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Ryan. We will step aside for a break. Still to come, a mostly clear but very cold early March night. Kaylin has the details in the full forecast. But next, ensuring a harvest this season. After a disease devastated the industry, PEI producers are eager to get oysters back on the menu. We'll be right back. Oyster growers on Prince Edward Island are preparing for the season after a year of disease left some with nothing to sell. This week, producers met to talk about what it'll take to protect the seafood supply, coastal jobs, and livelihoods. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
These tools. Around the room, there were some worried faces, listening closely and taking notes. Two oyster diseases, MSX and Dermo, meant major losses for many last year, and they're hoping the next season will be more successful.
We have some growers that didn't make any sales last year. Zero.
The PEI Aquaculture Alliance's Peter Warris says industry leaders on the island have been looking for ways to slow the spread. But in the meantime, resistance is a key part of recovery. A private PEI company is purchasing oysters from the U.S. that have held up better against parasites, so those traits can be bred into local product.
Short-term solution to the problem of getting resistant genes, for want of a better expression, into the local population. It's not a long-term solution.
Part of the fear here is losing production capacity if growers walk away. The impact goes well beyond the water.
Oysters are very, very popular right now. You know, they're an iconic species, an iconic food. In terms of coastal jobs and rural communities, aquaculture it's basically a cash draw. It's an economic driver.
He adds some are on operating loans and are struggling to make payments. Late last year, the PEI government launched the Oyster Growers Income Stabilization Program to provide a financial safety net. Some industry leaders say it's a good start, but won't cover all future needs. Maria Saru, CTV News, Summerside, Prince Edward Island.
Still to come, a cold start, but it will be sunny again tomorrow. Kaylin Mitchell has the details of the full maritime forecast after this. Even in March, Crescent Beach is a beauty. That is on the south shore near Lockport, Nova Scotia. -7 degrees, beautiful sunset.
Put on the swimsuit, head out there.
Yeah, run right in.
Take a dip.
I want to mention something on the other side of the country. Something that happened on the other side of the country just a few minutes ago. British Columbia announced that it is getting rid of daylight savings time.
Okay.
We don't know which it's going to stick with.
Right.
But it's going. They've had enough.
Just my personal opinion. I'd be all for it.
Would you? Yep. There's been a lot of talk, right?
Yep.
A lot of
it doesn't really matter to me which time they decided to kind of stay on.
So BC and
I'd be okay with it.
BC and Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any others, but
just as a reminder, clocks are springing forward this upcoming weekend on Sunday at 2 a.m. It is also a great time, though, to check and make sure that all the batteries in your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, that all those are up to date and they haven't expired yet. All right, let's take a look at what's going on for weather, because we have a couple of things to talk about. First of all, for tonight, very clear and very cold across the Maritime region, very similar to last night, as this area of high pressure remains in place over top of us. That does mean it is going to be a bit of a frigid start by early March standards to Tuesday. And as we move from Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon, that high pressure system still in place. It's mostly sunny to a fair weather mix of sun and cloud. Then we start to see some changes as we head into Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. And what's happening is that area of high pressure is moving out, and a fast developing low pressure system is going to be making its way to the northeastern United States. This is a fast mover. So by the time we get to around the mid to late evening hours on Tuesday, I think between 9 p.m. and midnight, the first of the snow could start showing up around the southwestern corner of New Brunswick and the southwest of Nova Scotia. This system will then quickly fill in across southern New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia with snow as we move towards it after midnight. There is expected to be some rain that mixes in with this one, especially around the Atlantic coast coastline of Nova Scotia and in the southwest of that province. And because this system is a fast mover, what's left of the snow and rain mix, which you can see is around for the start of the day on Wednesday, does clear off towards the east very quickly as we move towards the afternoon. It's an outlook at the potential snowfall amounts here. And because this starts at night, most of the region, even those areas in Nova Scotia that mix with or turn over to some rain, are likely to see some snowfall accumulation from it. In fact, in the southwest of Nova Scotia and up and down the Atlantic coastline, it could still be as much as 5 to 10 centimeters of sort of a wet, slushy snow. So road conditions, first thing Wednesday morning, likely to be on the slippery side. Give yourself extra time. Interior areas of Nova Scotia could pick up as much as 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. 5 to 10 centimeters in northern parts of that province, up to Cumberland County, parts of the east of Prince Edward Island, and around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick. The remainder of the Maritimes is likely to see snowfall amounts ranging from trace up to around 5 centimeters. The lightest snow, it's basically a chance of flurries from this weather system up around northern areas of New Brunswick. But right now, it's the Wednesday morning roads that I'm most concerned about that could certainly be snow-covered and slippery in areas. In the forecast for the winds as we move through tonight into tomorrow, there's a change in the wind direction. The winds on Tuesday becoming southwest. They pick up a little bit, become a little bit gustier, and they'll have some gusts tomorrow in the range around 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. The effect that's going to have, though, is it's going to recover our temperatures a little bit moving into and through the afternoon, because tonight, very cold. Most lows minus 14 to minus 18, a few into the minus 20s, northern western areas of New Brunswick. But in that southwest wind for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick, the afternoon high temperatures come up between minus 2 and plus 2. For central and southern areas of New Brunswick, the high temperatures tomorrow between 0 and 3 degrees. After that very cold start to the day for Prince Edward Island, the afternoon temperatures come up right around the freezing mark, may even get to +1 for Summerside and Charlottetown. In Cape Breton for tomorrow, the high temperatures between minus 2 and 0, including minus 2 there at Shetty Camp. Northern eastern areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures between -1 and +1. For northern and central parts of the province, the high temperatures as well, coming up between around 0 and 2 degrees. For the Annapolis Valley on Tuesday, the high temperatures will be near 3, near 1 for Digby. And for the south shore of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures between +1 and +3. Taking a look at the extended forecast for New Brunswick. So Tuesday night into very early Wednesday morning is when we have that round of snow and flurries moving again. Again, the snow looks like steadiest will be around the Bay of Fundy coastline. Mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday. Flurries in the forecast for the end of the week. Temperatures a little bit chillier, and then they recover into and through the upcoming weekend, becoming milder by Sunday and Monday. For Nova Scotia in the outlook, we've got that mixture of snow and rain coming in late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. It then clears out. In behind it, chilly temperatures for Thursday and Friday with a chance of flurries. Mix of sun and cloud in the weekend forecast for Saturday and Sunday, followed by a chance of showers at the start of next week. And for Prince Edward Island in the outlook as well, we've got that snow coming in Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. It clears away. There's some flurries in behind it for Thursday and Friday. Temperatures a little bit colder, and then those temperatures climb through the upcoming weekend into the start of next week, Todd.
So some melting on the weekend, no doubt.
Yeah, I would expect so.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you at the end of the show. Next, we'll ask respected writer and lecturer Donald Savoie about provincial deficits. And we have this story.
All right, the Virgin Radio Vault continues. Get your first clues with us tomorrow morning on the morning show, 6:10 and 8:10.
And around 7:30 is your shot at $100 in gas. Good luck.
Welcome back. Well, the Maritime provinces are mired in deficit and debt. All face cuts and reductions. To discuss the issue, we've turned to someone who has long lectured, studied, and written about the issue. Donald Savoie is Canadian Chair in Public Administration and Governance at the Université de Moncton, and he joins us from Moncton this evening. It is certainly nice to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Todd.
Are these deficits spending, revenue problems, or both?
They're mostly spending. There's mostly economic growth. The one consolation that we have in the region that we're not alone. Alberta, British Columbia have a $13 billion deficit. The U.S. have a $40 trillion debt. Europe is mired in oodles of deficits. And I think the one we can take some consolation, but there's a problem as well because we depend on federal transfer payments far more than the other region. We get 35% of our revenues in terms of federal transfers. Alberta and British Columbia, they're about 15%. So we need to deal with the issue head on. We can't keep kicking the can down the road.
Can New Brunswick and Nova Scotia deal with the financial shortcomings by cuts alone?
No, no, because look, Premier Tim Houston says, I didn't run for office to cut services. And I think he was speaking for a lot of politicians. Politicians don't run for office to cut spending, to cut programs. They run to office to get things done. And so cutting spending, it's easier to sit and say, look, let's cut spending. But actually doing it is very difficult because the provincial governments, unlike the federal government, is mostly salaries. It's mostly delivering services. So when you cut into a lot of programs that a lot of people sort of rely on. So we need to look at spending for sure, but we also need to look at ways to grow the economy. I think that's the avenue that we haven't focused nearly enough. So let's look at natural resources. That's what we have. And we seem to be avoiding tough decisions, whether it's looking at the natural gas, uranium. We even have a problem growing wild blueberries in northern New Brunswick. So if we can't grow wild blueberries and process them, what the hell can we do? So we need to ask some tough questions about economic growth, and we haven't done that.
There was expressions of interest put out for companies to come to Nova Scotia and explore for uranium. Nobody took the province up on it. They didn't want to come in. We had a moratorium for 40 years. Do you think that scared them away?
Oh, I think no question. For 40 years, you tell people, please don't come. We don't want you here. And then we say, well, perhaps you can come. No, I think we need to be open for business in a much more vocal way, in a much more transparent way, and in a much more forceful way.
Does it make a difference that the federal government is deep in the hole as well? You mentioned 35% of transfers come from the feds.
Of course. I think looking forward, it's difficult to imagine that federal transfers are going to increase. Very difficult. Because Ottawa is starting to rejig a lot of its spending to put more into defense. Well, it's going to have to cut somewhere. And it's a lot easier for the federal government to cut transfers, as it did in 1997. It did cut many of its programs, but it cut deeply into a lot of federal transfers. So looking forward, I think we can count on having less federal transfer payments, not more. And we need to deal with that.
And there's certainly a growing appetite among other provinces, some of whom you mentioned, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and revealed they're going to table a debt deficit as well. Their appetite to pay money into the transfer payments, as we know very well, is growing smaller by the day.
Yes, and look, Alberta, Saskatchewan is exploring shale gas, uranium. It's taking tough decisions. And so we are accepting transfer payments with both hands, but we're saying no to the kind of development that's fueling growth in Western Canada. It's time that we look at how we can do, at what we can do in terms of natural resources. We've kicked the can down the road too long.
So what... I guess there is no immediate solution, but if all three provinces in the Maritimes are in the same boat financially, would that not require perhaps the three of them to get together and look at ways that they could do perhaps things together that now they do individually as a way to save some money? It's been talked about for years, right?
It's been talked about for 60 years, and we were much better at it 50 years ago. Somehow we've lost our way. And we need to recapture that. I mean, 60 years ago, there was we set up the Maritime Premiers Commission. We did a lot of things. Now we don't seem to be grabbing it. Now, what's happening south of the border is fueling a lot of appetite to do things better. And I think the three maritime provinces are finally looking at it in a much more serious fashion. So is there room for growth? Is there room for doing it better? Absolutely.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you about interprovincial trade. A lot has been made of that. A lot of talk that was going to be handled in a different way. We saw Rob Ford and Tim Houston today making an agreement about ability for people in their provinces to buy liquor from different suppliers in each of those provinces. But is it still a lot of talk, more so than action?
There's a lot of talk, but I'll tell you, we're seeing progress the past several months, and I think it's due to Donald Trump, not due to us willing to do it. We're forced to look at things that we weren't willing to do so several months ago. Yeah. And so, yes, there's some movement. Yes, there's some progress. Let's just keep at it.
Donald Savoie, we certainly appreciate your thoughts on this, and thank you for coming on, sharing them with us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Todd. Appreciate it.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more of your local news after this. In health headlines tonight, an advocacy group of farmers and environmental organizations want Health Canada to implement mandatory labeling on pork from gene-edited pigs. CTV's Amanda Debison has the details in tonight's Lifeline.
Health Canada is being called upon to make labels mandatory for gene-edited pork. Advocacy group Canadian Biotechnology Action Network says Canadians won't know where gene-edited pork is on grocery store shelves if they're introduced into the market. Network coordinator Lucy Sherrod says public opinion polls in this country show more than 80% of Canadians simply want to know where genetically engineered foods are. Health Canada approved earlier this year the sale of gene-edited pigs as food. A new study suggests the rate of young men contacting Ontario's mental health helpline for gambling-related problems has jumped by over 300% since the province allowed private online gambling. The study, published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, looked at Connects Ontario, the province's free 24-hour mental health and addictions helpline. Researchers tracked the volume of contacts for gambling-related concerns over a 13-year period, from 2012 to last September. It noted an increase after January 2015, when the government launched the gambling platform Play OLG, as well as after April 2022, when it expanded private online gambling. Among males aged 15 to 24, the monthly rate of gambling-related contacts to the helpline rose by 317% during that time, and by 108% for men aged 25 to 44. Finally, out west, police in southern Alberta are warning local pharmacies about a concerning new trend: a rise in thefts of cough syrup. Tabor's police chief says there has been an increase in calls over teens abusing dextromethorphan, or DXM. It's an ingredient found in many over-the-counter cough medicines. While safe when taken as directed, consuming excessive amounts can pose serious health risks to youth. It has become such an issue, police are asking retailers to move supplies containing DXM behind the counter and limit sales to adults. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
Entertainment now, and this year the SAG Awards adopted a new name, the Actor Awards, and they were handed out last night with one of Oscar's frontrunners taking home the Big Movie Prize. ABC's George Pinocchio has a recap of the night.
The cast of Sinners taking home the actor for outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture. The film's Michael B. Jordan also winning for his lead performance playing twins in the film. On stage, thanking his mom for all the sacrifices she made along the way.
Mom, thank you for driving me back and forth to New York when we didn't have enough money to go through the Holland Tunnel, when we were looking for gas money.
Jessie Buckley claimed the Female Actor in a Leading Role award for her performance in Hamnet. The winners in film supporting categories, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Amy Madigan for Weapons. The studio swept the comedy series categories, winning for Best Ensemble, plus acting awards for stars Seth Rogen and the late Catherine O'Hara.
And she really showed that you can be a genius and be kind, and one of those things does not have to come at the expense of the other in any way, shape, or form.
Kerry Russell won the actor for her dramatic work on The Diplomat. Noah Wiley was singled out for his acting on the medical drama The Pit, with his show winning the Ensemble in a Drama Series prize.
What I appreciate is that there's room on television for every kind of hospital show. You can have one as broad comedy as Scrubs and as hard-hitting and realistic as The Pit.
Adding extra emotion to the evening, Harrison Ford, this year's SAG-AFTRA Life Achievement honoree.
I'm indeed a lucky guy. Lucky to have found my people. Lucky to have work that challenges me. Lucky to still be doing it. And I don't take that for granted. If you see me in a film, I'm being propped up by the other actors, by the writing, by everybody that works on the set. I don't work alone. Nobody does.
We are now in the home stretch of award season with that one big show still to come. It's the Oscars, Sunday, March 15th on ABC. In Los Angeles, George Pinocchio for ABC News.
And the Oscars will also be seen here on CTV on the 15th. All right, as we go to break, here's what's on CTV tonight. On the markets, the Dow Jones began the trading week down 73 points as energy prices surged today as tanker traffic came to a stop through the Strait of Hormuz following the U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has the details.
Oil surged the most in 4 years as the escalating conflict threatens oil supplies in one of the world's key producing regions. The Strait of Hormuz handles as much as 20% of the world's oil shipments. Brent futures topped $80 a barrel, and the surge leaves oil prices up about 30% so far this year. OPEC Plus has agreed to raise quotas next month by 206,000 barrels a day. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar was down to 73.13. West Texas Intermediate is up to 72.30. Western Canadian Select also up to end the day to 52.93. And the TSX is also up more than 200 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Let's go outside to Kayla Mitchell with one more look at tomorrow.
Yeah, it's clear and cold out here right now, Todd, which is giving me a great view of the moon. It's nearly full for tonight, 99% illuminated. Remember, there's a lunar eclipse occurring tomorrow morning, though here in the Maritimes, as the eclipse starts, the moon is going to be in the process of setting on the western horizon. So while we can see part of that eclipse, we're not going to see the totality of it because it will eventually go down below the horizon before totality occurs. All right, let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. This is a fantastic shot. This is a short-eared owl in flight. This was taken in the Sackville area of New Brunswick and sent in by Don Beach. I want to thank Don very much for not only the excellent picture, but taking the time to share it with us. Sackville for tomorrow, very cold start to the day. The temperatures, though, recover a little bit in the afternoon. It'll be mostly sunny, and the high temperatures will get up near 2 degrees. Now, I mentioned that cold start to the day, so here we are, Tuesday morning temperatures around the Maritimes, and in most cases, well down into the minus teens. There may even be some minus 20s for parts of the north and west of New Brunswick. With the high pressure system in place, though, it should be a fairly clear start to Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon remains mostly sunny to a fair weather mix of sun and cloud, and most of the high temperatures coming up from a few degrees below to a few degrees above the freezing mark. Remember, there is a mix of snow and rain coming in Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. Let's find out what's coming up on your Morning Atlantic.
Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic, an unforgettable adventure.
We'll have all the details on how you could win a trip for two to the beautiful city of Hong Kong.
Start your morning with us Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
And coming up here at 6 tomorrow, Mark Jordan has written songs for some of the biggest names in pop. Think Cher, Rod Stewart. Now the Canadian singer-songwriter has written a few words about himself in a new book. He will be our guest tomorrow here at 6 o'clock. And finally tonight, some cool video from Kentucky where an old bridge came down in just a matter of seconds. Take a look at this. Yeah, there it goes. Explosives attached to the Licking River Bridge were detonated. The pieces of the bridge that fell into the water were retrieved using barges equipped with cranes. The Licking River Bridge was built in the 1930s, but was no longer able to handle the modern traffic needs of today. The demolition is part of a $100 million replacement project. And that is our look at the day here at home. Callum Smith has our late update at 11:30. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca and the CTV News app have news anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow night at 6. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.